Hello, I am at the Carnegie Mellon University in Kigali, and we have a special edition of the podcast A is Not for Apple. I am your host, Connie Nshemereirwe from Uganda, and today I have with me a very special guest. He's called Neil and he's from Colombia. Neil, why don't you tell us what you do and the rest of your name, please?
Thank you, Connie. My name is Neil Guerrero González. I'm from Colombia, and I work with light in photonics. I'm a professor in the National University of Colombia.
Okay. And so today I want us to discuss a little bit about what we can learn from Colombia on how we can improve our education systems. Would you give us an example?
Thank you for the opportunity, Connie. Yes. Very recently in the university, we discovered that most of the students in the beginning of the careers are just leaving the programs because we are not aligned with the expectations. So that's why we decided to go to schools inside the city in rural areas and try to measure the learning style. Because all of us have a special type or way of learning.
Okay.
If we identify the learning styles, then we can adapt, we can modify our ways of teaching. And this is working, okay, because now we have something like a map of learning styles, and we can adapt, still a little bit slow, but we can adapt our ways of teaching.
Okay. So you were telling me something very interesting about these, you call them experiments in the park. How can you tell us how that works?
Yes. One of the ways we use to measure that learning styles is by moving some of our experiments to schools in rural areas as well, and by teaching the students how to measure, for example, gravity. We can see the reaction of the students. So some of them are reacting to mathematics, some of them are reacting to art or just to figures, and that's why we can identify what is the best reaction of the students in the middle of an experiment.
Okay. And so for you, how do you think that can help us teach science better?
Yes, that's very important because science is also a way of seeing the world. We need to adopt the scientific method. We need to train our way to observe nature. And if we can do it from the beginning, I mean, when we are children, when we are a child, it's going to be better.
Okay.
So by going to the school, training the students at that early age, then for them it's going to be easier later on to be a scientist.
To appreciate science. So my last question for you, Neil, is this very expensive? Like, what does one need to set up these experiments in the parks?
Yes, of course. At the beginning of every project, you have to spend something. You have to invest something.
Okay.
But once you identify the experiments you want to do with the students, then you can optimize the experiment.
Okay.
So it's not necessary to have very expensive equipments. You can build your own equipments with your students at the university and create something like a cycle. You do research, but you also fabricate very cheap equipments, and those equipments you can bring to the schools.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Neil. Colombia. Very happy to have you on A is Not for Apple.
Thank you, Connie.